Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. This is part 3 for this news report today. It's Wednesday, January 9th, 2013, and I'm Darko. Alright, I'm going to continue here where we left off, talking about transhumanism, cyborgs, and stuff like that. Excuse me, and the best example is Stephen Hawking, right? For better or worse, says he's more machine now than man. This is the argument that transhumanists make, is, what is no longer a man, what is no longer human? You got to be 60% prosthetics and stuff like that, and people are making this conscious choice of this. So, we might actually exterminate ourselves and exterminate our DNA. It says this article is great for those considering enrolling in PhD programs. It says here, while the example of Hawkins twitching his eyebrow to set swarms of minions aflutter with activity might seem extreme, this is actually the essence of the graduate school experience for many. That's right, you gotta follow suit, right? They're like gods. Your advisor probably won't be a cyborg, but my guess is that this piece is going to hit home in many and more ways than one. Kind of interesting too, because you had that professor out there in Sandy Hook being called a conspiracy theorist because he's saying that the thing never actually occurred, the whole event. So actually they're trying to fire him now. Isn't that great that officials are looking to fire the professor for speaking his mind, It's like, Jesus, man. And these professors have to, to get their grants and all that, they can't go outside the box there. They got to stay on the program. Talks about click, click, click when having a conversation with Hawking. No voice, no other sounds, no facial expressions. For those who know him, Hawking may be able to communicate through his eyes, but for the rest of us, his sole means of communicating is through infrared connection to his computer. That's right, January 8th today is Hawking's birthday, yet on this day, it's worth examining just who and what we really are celebrating, the man, the mind, or the machines. There's a lot of programming, right? It says here, in some ways Hawkins is to borrow from Obi-Wan, referring to Darth Vader, more machine now than man, right? Kind of like Bane and stuff like that from the Batman series. It says another version of the Hawking story, we notice that he is more incorporated than any other scientist, let alone human being. He is delegated across numerous other bodies, technicians, students, assistants, and of course machines. Hawking's genius, in quotes, is far from being the product of his own mind, or his mind alone, is in fact profoundly located, material, and collective in nature. Top transhumanism CEO says AI Singularity will go very badly for humans. This is, again, from August 16th, 2012. So promises of immortality and disease-free life have led many individuals or suckers to long for the hope of artificial intelligence and what is known as singularity. It is essentially a merging of man and machine, the develop of a new species, a Borg of the sorts. So it recently made headlines when the Russian scientists promised singularity to the wealthy elite and ruling class by 2045 through the 2045 program, with artificial bodies available as early as 2015. Important to note here before I move on, this Muehlhauser explains how humans become prey to the ruthless superhuman AI with the completion of singularity. So talking about the collective in regards to that article with Hawkins, that's what's going to happen. That's what's so nice about being humans, man. I mean, if you want to, you can still have somewhat control over your mind. They try to do mind control, and they do it. They do carry out something called entrainment. There's a patent for it, matching your brain waves and then duplicating basically duplicating your brain waves to make you think that they're coming from you, those thoughts. So they're already doing that to a certain degree. But once you incorporate the technology, I would imagine it would be harder when you have this god type. These gods, basically, is what they'll be. And you're in the matrix, right? It says here, unfortunately, the singularity may not be what you're hoping for. By default, the singularity or intelligence explosion will go very badly for humans. So by default, superhuman AIs will end up optimizing the world around us for something other than we want and using up all our resources to do so. What's even more clear, however, is the fact that AI singularity has no place for humankind, not even in a form of coexistence. Advanced humanoid Roboy, to be born in 9 months. I saved this article back in the 26th of last month. I never got a chance to cover it. Meet Roboy. He's one of the most advanced humanoid robots, say researchers of the Artificial Intelligence Laboratory of University of Zurich, of course, in Switzerland. So it says here that there are 15 project partners and over 40 engineers and scientists are constructing Roboys, a tendon-driven robot modeled on human beings. Robots usually have their motors in their joints, giving them a robot breakdance look, so it will look and move almost as elegantly as a human. It will be a service robot, see, to serve humans, right? To serve man. meaning it will execute services independently for the convenience of human beings. As in the programming movie Robot and Frank. I've never seen it, and since service robots share their living space with people, user friendliness and safety above all are of great importance of roboticists point out. I think this is what Space Odyssey 2001 is all about. I saw someone make a video about it. He made a video about comparing the gold standard, I think it was, with the Jack Nicholson movie. I can't believe I'm forgetting it right now, but you know what I'm talking about, the creepy one back from the 70s. But he was talking about how basically that the individual character, the main character, was actually doing something like this, where he was actually no longer needing the aid of these machines or robots and stuff like that, like HAL, and that he can actually work faster than the robots, like a part of evolution, I guess, is what Kubrick was trying to go with. So I'm going to keep moving here, so I have a lot to get to. Woman has extraordinary skill at controlling robotic arm with her thoughts. So it says, why rise of the machines? The military side will use the data from brain-machine interfaces like this to develop algorithms for their killer robots. Remember the one from 2004 about the rat neurons that learned to control a simulated aircraft? They have brain in a dish acts as autopilot living computer. In Florida, scientists have grown a living brain that can fly a simulated plane, giving scientists a novel way to observe how brain cells function as a network. As a network, right? Neural network. Here they go. They refer to that as that. It says, if we can extract the rules of how these neural networks are doing computations like pattern recognition, we can apply that to create a novel computing system. So I hate to use this example again. It's like the Matrix. You'd just be like batteries, right? They would just be used for this supercomputer or God. So I think this is from Cryptagon writing this. Okay, long story short, for those who don't know what's involved technically, ethically, legally, with collecting that kind of data from a human being in Vivo, it's not easy. It's really not easy. It says, so how will the killer robot designers scale up that merger, swelling of rat neurons to gather data? Well, primates? Says sure, and a good answer if you guessed that. But read on. It says a woman who is paralyzed from the neck down has stunned doctors with her extraordinary skill at using a robotic arm that is controlled by her thoughts alone. The 52-year-old patient or experiment, it says here, test subject, lost the use of her limbs more than 10 years ago to degenerative disease that damaged her spinal cord. Disruption to the nervous system was equivalent to having a broken neck. So but it goes on here and it says that at the Pittsburgh University, doctors found that she quickly learned to make fluid movements with a brain-controlled robotic arm, reaching levels of performance never seen before. So they recruited the woman to test a robotic arm that's controlled by a new kind of computer program that translates the natural brain activity used to move our limbs into commands to move the robotic arm. Another article I've been wanting to get to from the 13th of December, father-daughter duo have world's first brain-to-brain telepathic conversation. So it goes on here, says it should be obvious why, all technological considerations aside, there has been much more research into letting machines extract our thoughts rather than insert them. Right. Mind reading is a scary enough concept all on its own, but mind writing. So basically it goes on here and it says that a trusting relationship between UK scientist and his adventurous young daughter to give us the first stab at developing real telepathic brain-to-brain communication technology. The process of telepathic communication is rough, but it goes on here and it says brain-to-brain or B2B communication is unquestionably met. I only use scalp electrodes on my daughter since my wife would not let me drill holes in my daughter's head, James told the Times of India. Jesus. So you can go in there, a lot of visual cortex and just crazy stuff going on here. The links will be posted. I'm going to keep going because I still have a lot to get to. This older article, it's from 2010. DARPA wants to install transcranial ultrasonic mind control devices in soldiers' helmets that allow soldiers to simulate certain regions of their brains. So DARPA has been trying to crawl inside the minds of soldiers for a while now, but a new ultrasound technology could let them get deeper inside than ever. So again, this is DARPA. It's called a transcranial pulsed ultrasound technology. Could be implanted in troops' battle helmets, allowing the soldiers to manipulate brain functions to boost alertness, relieve stress, or even reduce the effects of traumatic brain injury. So it plays into this soldiers into weapons that violate international law. New technologies reveal ambiguities and hidden assumptions in international humanitarian law. Well, I don't really know if there is actually international humanitarian law. Because, I mean, when people can go and bomb people in the name of humanitarianism, I don't think that law is too credible, right? Or has much authority over people. Science fiction or actual U.S. military project? Halfway around the world from the battlefield, a soldier controls his avatar robot that does the actual fighting on the ground. Another one wears a sticky fabric that enables her to climb a wall like a gecko or spider. It says here, returning from a traumatic mission, a pilot takes a memory erasing drug to help ward off post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Mimicking the physiology of dolphins and sled dogs, a sailor is able to work his post all week without sleep and only a few meals. All these scenarios are real military projects currently in various stages of research. This is the front lines of human enhancement revolution. It says we know enough about biology, neuroscience, computing, robotics, and materials to hack the human body, reshaping it in our own image. And defense-related applications are a major driver of science and technology research. Kind of verifying what I was saying. So it's funny. Should they be subject to weapons legal review? Yeah, we'll see if that happens. This goes back to this article that U.S. super soldiers of the future, really just super soldiers of the future, or soldiers at all, will be genetically modified transhumans capable of superhuman feats. This article is back from August 2012. Unfortunately, they've created the technology already, so now they're going back, right? This is actually this last article from January 4th, 2012, so pretty recent. So they'll get them out, develop the technology. They're probably already unleashed in some places. And then they'll say, well, is it illegal or not? Kind of like how they're doing with the drones. Not that they just cleared them for, how many to go in U.S. airspace, fly around. The military must prep now for mutant future, researchers warn. This is crazy, right? From December 31st, 2012. It's like, what are they talking about? So it goes on here and it says that the military is already using or fast developing a wide range of technologies meant to give troops what university researcher calls mutant powers, greater strength and endurance, supercognition, and better teamwork and fearlessness. It almost makes me wonder. They call it military human enhancements. So, before it's human, now it's military human enhancements. But the risk, ethics, and policy issues arising from these so-called human enhancements, including drugs, special nutrition, electroshock, and gene therapy, and robotic implants and prosthesis, are poorly understood. Well, that's why they got to experiment on the troops. They got to experiment on these MK Ultra patsies like James Holmes and the recent Lanza, shooter in Connecticut. With military enhancements and other technologies, the genie's already out of the bottle. Okay, this is Singularity. The benefits are too irresistible, again. And in the military-industrial complex still has too much momentum, Lynn says in an email. The best we can do now is to develop policies in advance to prepare for these new technologies, not post hoc or after the fact, as we're seeing with drones and cyber weapons. I've mentioned about how I sometimes wonder if humanity is actually de-evolving, or if just some individuals are evolving faster than others. But, they talk about for a mutant future, it makes me wonder, do these people have to be mutated because they're going to be facing a mutated enemy? Could that enemy be what? Zombies, like that movie with Brad Pitt, what was it, something Z, about zombies, and people were angry because they were real fast. You see them like jumping on each other, climbing a wall. Is a pretty freaky little scene. But it could make sense that they would be kind of hyper and fast and have superhuman strength. So they could be that. They could be the result of these chemtrails and aerosols they're spraying, kind of like from that show Firefly or Serenity. They had the reefers or whatever they call it, reavers. And they were the negative result. Well, they're both negative. They had two results of the geoengineering or terraforming the planet. One was to pacify the people, but unfortunately, they didn't do anything. They didn't fight. They didn't argue. They didn't even work. They didn't talk with each other, kind of like we have now. And then you have the other ones who got real hostile and almost turned into like cannibals, right? So is it for them? I don't know. Or will humans actually evolve and develop these powers of telekinesis or telepathy? Again, we're just going to have to wait and see. All right, so we're almost done here. I'll just leave off this article. Russian army to replace soldiers with robots. The Russian Minister of Defense has made a decision to replace soldiers with robots as they're planning to expand the use of robots for mine clearing and dealing with emergency situations. There you go. Not killing people. Can't sell that. They are also looking to possibility of using combat robots. Oh, they're looking for it. Thank you.